जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जय ओम नित्य लीला विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांता सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय। गोकुल द्वारका धाम की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। गौर निताय की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastiki Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapad Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Sri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Good morning everyone. Hare Krishna. This morning we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 85th chapter verse number 19. 85th chapter 10th canto verse number 19, and we will also read 20 and 21. I will chant the verse and you can chant responsively. Tatte gatosmin aranam adya padarvindam apna samsriti bhayafalam arat bandhu एतावतालम अलम इंद्रिया लालसेना मर्त्यात्मा दृक्त्वयि परे यद अपत्य बुद्धिः तत्ते गतोऽस्मि अरनम् अद्य पदारविन्दम् आपना संसृति भयापमार्तबन्धो एतावतलम् अलम् इन्द्रियालालसेना मर्त्यात्मदृक्त्वयि परे यद अपत्य बुद्धि। तत्ते गतोऽस्मि अरणम् अद्य पदारविन्दम् आपन संसृति भयपहमात् बन्धो एतावतालम् अलमिन्द्रियालालसेन मर्त्यात्मदृक्त्वयि परे यद् अपत्य बुद्धिः तत्ते गतोऽस्मि अरणम् आद्य पदारविन्दम् आपन संसृति भयपहमार्तबन्धो एतावतालम् अलम् इन्द्रियालालसेन मर्त्यात्मदृक्त्वयि परे यदपत्य बुद्धिः. Word by word meaning. Tat, therefore, te, your, gataha, come, asmi, I am, aranam, for shelter, adya, today, pada aravindam, to the lotus feet, apana, for those who have surrendered, samsriti, of material entanglement, bhaya, the fear, apaham, which remove, arata, of the distressed, bandho, O friend, etavata, this much, alam alam, enough enough, indriya, for sense enjoyment, lalasena, with hankering, martya, as mortal, the material body, atma, myself, drik, who seeing, twai, toward you, pare, the supreme, yat, because of which hankering, apatya, of your being my child, buddhi, the mentality. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Therefore, O friend of the distressed, I now approach your lotus feet for shelter. The lotus feet that dispel all fear of worldly existence for those who have surrendered to them. Enough, enough with hankering for sense enjoyment, which makes me identify with this mortal body and think of you, the Supreme, as my child. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami suggests that Vasudev condemns himself for thinking of trying to gain special opulences because he is the father of the Supreme Lord. Thus, Vasudev contrasts himself with Nanda, the king of Raja, who was satisfied with the pure love of God and nothing else. Text 20. Indeed, while still in the maternity room, you told us that you, the unborn Lord, had already been born several times as our son in previous ages. After manifesting each of these transcendental bodies to protect your own principles of religion, you then made them unmanifest, thus appearing and disappearing like a cloud. O supremely glorified, all pervading Lord, who can understand the mystic, deluding potency of your opulent expansions. Purport. Lord Krishna was first born to Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous lives as Sutapa and Prishni. Later, they again became his parents as Kashyapa and Aditi. This then was the third time which had which he had appeared as their son. Text 21. Sukdev Goswami said, having heard his father's words, the Supreme Lord, leader of the Sattvatas, replied in a gentle voice as he bowed his head in humility and smiled. Srila Jiva Goswami describes what Lord thought after hearing his father glorifying him. Vasudev has been honored with the eternal role of my father, something even demigods like Brahma cannot aspire for. Therefore, he should not be absorbed in thinking of my godly aspects. Moreover, his reverence greatly embarrasses me. It was to avoid this very situation that after killing Kamsa, I made a special effort to reinforce their pure parental love for me and Balaram. But now, unfortunately, the statements of these sages threaten to revive some of Vasudev's and Devaki's previous awareness of my majesty. So, in these three verses, Vasudev is Vasudev is glorifying Krishna, and this glorification happens after during this solar eclipse. All the Yadus and Kauravas they all go to Kurukshetra to take bath, and Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev are meeting, and they talk to Krishna and they are glorifying Krishna. And after seeing the close relationship, after realizing their close relationship, Vasudeva and Devaki, uh, and Nand Maharaj, Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are also present there. And Vasudeva, after seeing the relationship between the Vrindavan Vasis and Krishna, is which he was previously in Vatsalya Bhav, parental love, is now seeing the Supreme Lord in his supreme majesty. And now he started glorifying Krishna, that you are the Supreme Lord, the shelter of the whole universe. And but Krishna says that Vasudev's reverence is greatly embarrassing me. And later in the purport he says that these glorification are threatening to revive some of the previous awareness of majesty. What happened was, when all the sages were present in Kurukshetra and they are glorifying Krishna, that you are the Supreme Lord, and you are the shelter of the entire universe. What is his name? Artho Bandhu, Lord who is always Arthato Bandhu, who is always protecting. So after hearing this glorification, Vasudev is now also starting to glorify Krishna. So devotional service has to be a contrast between bhava and jnana. Only knowledge will not fulfill the purpose of devotional service, and only bhava will also not fulfill the purpose. So now, earlier Vasudev was only in the parental affection, but now sages, since they are glorifying Krishna, Krishna is saying this glorifications from the sages are threatening to revive previous awareness of Vasudev and Devaki's, of Krishna's supreme opulence. Now, here it is said that, and it is very interesting. Here it is said that that Vasudeva has been blessed with the eternal role of the father of Krishna. So there are two categories, Nitya Baddha and Nitya Siddhas. So Nitya Siddhas are always eternally liberated beings. Once a eternally bound being in the material universe enters into spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada said, then there is no difference. So there was a time when Vasudev and Devaki were not Krishna's parents, unlike Nand Maharaj and Yashoda, who are always Krishna's parents. But due to performing severe austerities, they were given this role. So as it was mentioned before, that in their past three births, this is the third reincarnation. So the third was Vasudeva and Devaki. Krishna is born. The first was written Sutapa and Prishni and Kashyapa and Diti. So when they performed severe austerities, they were blessed with the role of the parents of father and mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So they are sadhana bhaktas. Like they perfected their sadhana, and from their sadhana, they were blessed with this role. So now the Vasudev is describing Krishna as the person. Whenever somebody has fear and the devotee calls out to Krishna for protection, Arthato Bandho, Krishna, who is always protecting, gives relief from fear. And this is where I wanted to read a section of killing of demon Aghasur. So during the childhood pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, lot of demons used to come sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. But due to destructive, envious nature of demons, they not only wanted to abduct and kill Krishna, they also wanted to kill his associates. So Aghasur demon was threatening to kill Krishna's friends, Gopas. So this is how Krishna takes away the fear of his devotees when they call out for help. So this is from Krishna book, chapter 12, the killing of Aghasur. Once the Lord desired to go early in the morning with his cowherd boyfriends to the forest, where they were to assemble together and take lunch. As soon as he got up from the bed, he blew his buffalo horn bugle and called all his friends together. Keeping the calves before them, they started for the forest in a great procession. In this way, Lord Krishna assembled thousands of boyfriends. They were each equipped with stick, flute, and horn, as well as a lunch bag, and each of them was taking care of thousands of calves. All the boys appeared very joyfully and happy in that excursion. Each and every one of them, including Krishna, was attentive to his personal calves as he herded them in different places in the forest. The boys were fully decorated with various kinds of golden ornaments, yet, out of sporting propensities, they began to pick up flowers, leaves, twigs, peacock feathers, and red clay from different places and forests in the forest and further decorate themselves in different ways. While passing through forest, one boy stole another boy's lunch package and passed it to third. And when the boy whose lunch package was stolen came to know of it, he tried to take it back. But the boy who had threw it to another boy. This sporting playing event was amongst the boys as childhood pastimes. When Lord Krishna went ahead to a distant place in order to see some specific scenery, the boys behind him ran to try to catch up and be first to touch him. So there was a great competition. One would say, I will go there and touch Krishna, and another would say, no, you cannot go. I will touch Krishna first. Some of them played on their flutes or vibrated bugles made up of buffalo horn. Some of them gladly followed the peacocks and imitated the sounds of cuckoo. While the birds were flying in the sky, the boy ran after the bird's shadow along the ground and tried to follow their exact course. Some of them went to monkeys and silently sat down by them. Some of them imitated the dancing of peacocks. Some of them caught monkeys by the tail and played with them. When the monkeys jumped into the tree, the boys followed. When a monkey showed its face and teeth, a boy imitated and showed his teeth to the monkey. So the boys played. They would go to an empty well and make loud noises, and when echo came back, they would laugh. As Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita says, He is realized proportionately by transcendentalists as Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, in the confirmation of the same statement, Lord Krishna, who awards the impersonalist the pleasure of Brahman effulgence by his bodily effulgence, also gives pleasure to the devotees as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are under the spell of the external energy Maya take him only as a beautiful child. But who can estimate the transcendental fortune of the residents of Vrindavan? He who many yogis cannot find even after undergoing severe austerities, although he is sitting within their heart. This is confirmed in Brahma Samhita. One may search for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the pages of Vedas and Upanishads, but it is difficult to find him there. When Lord Krishna was enjoying his childhood pastime with his boyfriends, one Aghasur demon became very impatient. He was unable to tolerate seeing Krishna play so happily, and therefore he appeared before the boys, intended to kill them all. This Aghasur was so dangerous that even the denizens of heaven were afraid of him. Although the denizens of heaven drank nectar daily to prolong their lives, they were afraid that this Aghasur and were wondering, when will the demon be killed? The denizens used to drink nectar to become immortal, but actually they were not confident of their immortality. On the other hand, the boys who were playing with Krishna had no fear of demons, and they were free of fear. Any material arrangement for protecting oneself from death is always unsure, but one is in Krishna consciousness. If one is in Krishna consciousness, then immortality is confidently assured. So here it is said that demigods, they are drinking nectar to have a very long life, but even they are afraid of big demons sent by Kamsa. And Aghasur, they are very afraid of him. Where Hiranyakashipu, it is said, when he would see on the upper planetary systems, and just by his gaze, the demigods would be fearful. But now, due to association of Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada is writing, only the person who is in Krishna consciousness, they can be free of fear, and the immortality is confidently assured. So, this is what we can see, that the friends of Krishna are so much enamored by Krishna. They are playing this game. Who will touch Krishna first? And Srila Prabhupada again is confirming that Krishna consciousness is the only remedy of fear. So when Bhagavad Gita was spoken, Arjuna was perplexed. He says that the Gandhi, which was given to him, blessed to him by the Agni Dev, the demigod of fire, that was the greatest weapon Arjuna had, and it was very very dominating to all the other Kshatriya kings. But when he was perplexed, he couldn't fight the war against his teacher, against his grandfather, great grandfather Bhishma. Even his Gandhi was slipping from his hand, and he was saying, "My mind is reeling." So Krishna, during that perplexing, fearful time, Krishna was ready to give shelter. And all we have to do, Prabhupada says, and Krishna is ready to give shelter, is call out to Krishna for his mercy. And Prabhupada said that the best way to petition, give, prayerful petition towards Krishna is to chant his holy name and to perform kirtana, sankirtana, and while doing kirtana, sankirtan with devotees or making prayerful petitions towards Krishna. That Prabhupada said that at one time when he was having health problems, heart palpitation, and when he came to US, he had three heart strokes to begin with, heart attacks. So he said at that time he introduced the Nursing Day prayers to ISKCON program, morning program, and he would say that you pray to Lord Nrsingadev for my health revival. And while performing Sankirtana, Prabhupada said this is the secret, that performing Sankirtana and praying to Krishna, for calling out to Krishna for his mercy. So everyone, so in verse number 19, it says the material world is called samsriti. Samsriti means material entanglement, that the suffering in the material world is always consistent, that is, they're always adhyatmika, adi devika, adi bodhik, that there's always, if there are no suffering coming from other living entities or natural disorders, the suffering comes from mind and senses. So material world, uh, one devotee was describing material world is that there's always want of something, there's always waste of resources that the living entity is already blessed with, and there's always worry. And to the remedy of this is calling out to Krishna for shelter while chanting his holy name. So material world, going in alphabetical order, is pa fa ba. Pa is parishram, that struggle for existence. Fema is when we struggle. The, when a horse is running, and if he's very tired, then the foam comes out from the mouth. And byartha is like waste. We are, for the wanting of something, we are always eternally struggling, and there is wastage of energy, and there's always worry. So material world is illusory and temporary, and that's what the happiness is found in material world is also illusory and temporary. Whatever is the cause of happiness at one moment can become the cause of distress at another moment. So economics, there's this concept of buyer's remorse, or depreciation of anything which is overutilized. So the graph is like parabolic in nature, and it goes down. So one thing, how we would understand it is that if we are having a sweet, and this is what I was Prabhupada was giving one example of, if somebody likes sweet balls, gulab jamuns, if somebody eats one time, they will like it. Or rasgulla, eat one time, they will like it. Two time, three time, four time. But if somebody keeps eating it, after one time, it will be exhausting, and the taste won't be sweet. That it would taste slightly bitter. So this is all the happiness in this material world is always temporary and illusory. The same thing which is cause of happiness at one moment can become cause of distress at another moment. So number one example of how Lord protects his devotees is the example of Uttara. Uttara was the wife of Abhimanyu, and after all the children of Pandavas were killed in their sleep by the son of Guru Dron, then the last thing he did was to end the dynasty of the lineage of Pandavas. Was he threw the Brahmastra weapon towards the womb of Uttara. And seeing Uttara in helpless condition, Lord Krishna takes his Sudarshan Chakra to protect Uttara, and he goes inside the womb to protect her from the Brahmastra shot by Ashwathama, son of Guru Drona. So for devotees, Krishna, Krishna is the only shelter. And when Vritrasura pastime was taking place, and Vritrasura demon was again and again defying all the attempts of demigods to defeat him, and the demigods were very very tired, and Vitrasura knew that it was the will of the supreme lord that this is how he would die. So he would encourage the demigods, come on, you can fight, you can kill me, because Vitrasura in his heart knew the will of the supreme lord, that he's a demon and his destiny is to be killed by the demigods. But demigods were tired and they were demotivated. So Lord Krishna came to them and gave them the inspiration on the only weapon that would kill this demon Vitrasura, and that was the weapon of bones that was given to Lord Indra. So from whose bone this weapon was made from? The weapon Vajra. It was made from the Rishi, the sage Dadichi. So the who gave the idea, the inspiration for the demigods to go to this Rishi Dadichi and request this? Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna. There's also this pastime of Haridas Thakur, that Haridas Thakur and Nityanand Prabhu would go on wild preaching missions, and they would go and every nook and corner where they would really radical ideas opposite to Krishna consciousness, and so they were caught by the local person in charge. Haridas Thakur was caught by the local person in charge and by the king and Muslim king, and he was being repeatedly beaten over his back. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna, decided that he took his Sudarshana Chakra to kill all the people who were hurting Haridas Thakur. But Haridas Thakur, and we will get into this later also, how devotees are merciful and compassionate towards other people. Haridas Thakur was praying that please forgive them, because please forgive them, Lord. So he kept praying like this. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to do, since his devotee was requesting that these people who were beating him do not get punished, so he withdrew his Sudarshana weapon. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body was insulating the body of Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur was not feeling any pain. And all the time Haridas Thakur was beaten over the back, the actual pain was inflicted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, when Prahlad Maharaj was given the darshan of Narsinghadev, he was asked that, what do you want? Then Prahlad Maharaj says, oh Lord, you know that this body of mine, it has the blood of demons. I am son of Hiranyakashipu, the biggest demon. So if you ask me for material desire, it will only drive you away from me. So I see the whole humanity, so many people are suffering in this material world. I only ask for one benediction. Let me be here. I'll take their sins and let all of them go to the spiritual world. And the same. So all the associates of Krishna during different incarnations, they keep taking birth again and again. So Lord Krishna takes incarnation not in lion's body, not only in body of a boar. He takes incarnation in each of the 8.4 million species. In every species, there is an incarnation of Krishna. There is an incarnation of Krishna in the species of ant. There is incarnation of Krishna in the species of lion. And so, getting back to the so Prahlad Maharaj asked that let all of them go to spiritual world and let me take all the sinful reactions, and I will stay in the material world. But so the living entities have been separated from you for such a long time, and I feel suffering seeing them separated. So Prahlad Maharaj takes birth again in Chaitanya Leela, and who he takes birth as? He takes birth as Vasudeva Datta. Vasudev Datta was a very good householder. How was He was a householder, and his way of operation of the economics in home was very different. He would give most of his income, almost everything, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching mission. And it even got Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a sannyasi, worried that how will Vasudev Datta home will be uh, how will his home keep going sustaining if he gives every all of his money in charity. So because Vasudev Datta, whatever he would earn, he would spend for devotees, and he is who he is previously in Satyuga. He is Prahlad Maharaj, and now Shivananda Sena, another associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Shivananda Sena that please make sure that Vasudev Datta home has money, and he is asked. He's praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what do you want? He's praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that so many living entities are suffering in this material world just because of your forgetfulness, being separated from you. My desire is I take all of their sins, and so that they all go back to Godhead. Even though I have to stay in this material world, there is no problem. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much moved by his request like this, but it's the same mood of Prahlad Maharaj, so it's understandable. So Lord Krishna always glorifies his devotees, and there are other associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Raghav Pandit, Mukunda Datta, that he glorifies. So Raghav Pandit was glorified very much in Chaitanya Leela because of his sincerity in worshipping Krishna. So he had servants in his home, and he would worship Krishna's deity. So how he would worship them? He would offer coconut and coconut water to the deity. They had coconuts nearby, but the water coming from the coconuts nearby wasn't very sweet. So Raghav Pandit would walk 10 kilometers, and like that's when the coconut trees would start after. And after 10 kilometers to 20 kilometers to find good coconut trees and find good coconut for worshipping the deity of Krishna. So he would get all the coconuts from faraway places to worship the deity, and then he would engage his servants in helping in his deity worship. So he once saw he would have kirtan programs at his home. So devotees would sometimes jump up and down, and the dust would rise up, and sometimes it would touch the ceiling, the dust particles. So he was so particular, modern people might even consider it like obsessive compulsive, that when his servant was walking and his servants just touched the ceiling, and he had coconut on his hand in his hand, he said, well, now this the land is muchi, and the dust rises up to ceiling, and the ceiling is muchi, and since my servant touched the ceiling, his hand, now his body's not in the cleanliness state, and since he is in not in cleanliness state, the coconuts are also not clean. So he would again go 10 to 20 kilometers to get new coconuts and worship his deity. So that sincerity very much gave satisfaction to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Atma Rama, that he is satisfied in himself. And how devotees are satisfied? Devotees are satisfied by serving Krishna to full of their capacity. So, another example of Krishna protecting devotees is Gangadas Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gangadas Pandit had a has a natural calamity in his area, and he was on the shore of the river Ganges, and he wanted to go across. There was no boatman to take him across the river, so the Lord appeared himself to take him across, and that's how his name is Gangadas Pandit. The 16,108 wives of Krishna, they were actually were abducted by Narkasura, and after Krishna defeated the Narkasura demon, he the 16,108 princesses said that now, since we were abducted before, nobody would accept us in marriage. So Krishna, we can only be, we have no other shelter but you. So Krishna said, Prabhupada said that Krishna said, all right, come on. So Krishna accepted them as their wives. So we are running short on time, but one thing that I wanted to discuss was that Vasudev's affection for Krishna is not mundane. It's not like uh, affection of how parents have for their children. So use Krishna says that Prabhupada, whatever we have, whatever affection we have for in our relationship, whatever resources we have in our how we are blessed, but if we use that in Krishna's service, then that becomes perfect. So right now, the material world has not been designed centered towards Krishna. It is centered toward economic development. And Prabhupada said economic development word is nothing but a big idea, much more complex idea for sense gratification. But if Krishna is not in center, there cannot be any sustainability in natural order. So even though so many economic systems are designed, they are they are based on the principle of exploitation. Uh, Many countries during the year 2006 2008, and also during recession times, the prices of groceries went up by 75%. So this shows the fallacy in our modern economic system, that how much it has propensity to fail. Why? Because, as I said, it's based on the principle of exploitation. Previously, the currency was grains, ghee, animals' milk, and that's how people used to exchange goods and services. But right now, it is a piece of paper. Piece of paper, Prabhupada said, what value does it have? Can you eat this piece of paper? No. It is just a value assigned by regulatory bodies from government, that this piece of paper means this much money. But when calamity occurs, can you use that money? If financial system collapses, no. So it's based on exploiting the people who believe in this system. The banks are exploiting the people by giving them loans and giving them currency as currency paper, because they use the same resources to get assets for themselves which are much more permanent, like houses, real estate, and farmlands. And from whatever money they gain from that, they whatever wealth they generate from that, they they give very small interest to people, and they think that they are getting benefit, but they are getting exploited. So it's very difficult to understand this dukhalayam ashashvatam, temporary and full of misery, this world exploiting people, because people want to exploit material nature. It's very difficult to understand this unless one comes to Krishna consciousness. So there's a lot more we can talk about, but we are towards the end of our time. So if you have any thoughts, anything you would like to discuss, I would appreciate it. No thoughts? Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, जय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल.